Welcome to the Anime Podcast channel. My name is Benji, and today we're going to discuss and theorize whether or not Sanji has Supreme King's Haki, or better known as Conqueror's Haki. And especially after the events of the latest chapter of One Piece, chapter 1034, the question is becoming more and more prevalent that Sanji may have tapped into his latent Conqueror's Haki abilities. And in order to determine whether or not Sanji actually has the abilities, let's look at arguments on both sides of the spectrum. Arguments in favor of Sanji having Conqueror's Haki, and arguments in favor of Sanji not having Conqueror's Haki. But big shout out to two very special individuals who helped me conceptualize this very video you're watching. One big shout out to Prism in our Discord, one of the GOATs. And another big shout out to @Mom0Usagi Resonance on Twitter, one of the homies, one of my mutuals. Both of these guys were able to help me kind of conceptualize how I wanted to structure this video. And like I said, if you haven't already, go ahead and join our social medias. Me and my friends Nick and JC make weekly podcast episodes on all kinds of manga and anime. And if you haven't already, go ahead and join the Discord. We talk all kinds of anime and manga content there. And it's devoid of any toxicity. We have a very loving and acceptable community within our Discord. And to be honest, all of our social medias. Go ahead and join right now. But with that being said, let's go ahead and begin. Now, before I get started, the requirements in One Piece to have Conqueror's Haki isn't necessarily concrete, and to be honest, the term qualities of a king are extremely vague and can be lost in translation. But for the sake of this video, let's look at the qualities that we've seen in previous Conqueror Haki users, such as royal bloodline, kingly ambitions, the disposition to stand above the rest, immense strong will, and the ability to turn those around you into your allies. Now, before I truly begin, none of these are set in stone. These are just a couple of qualities that I've kind of handpicked from previous users within the series. Like I said, there really hasn't been a guideline for who gets Conqueror's Haki and who doesn't get Conqueror's Haki. And I kind of will explain a little bit more about that in Oda's writing a little bit later on in the video. But with that out of the way, let's look at the evidence in favor of Sanji having Conqueror's Haki. Now, for one, Sanji was actually included on the cover of Volume 100, titled Conquerors, which included a whole cover of Conqueror Haki users, excluding Sanji. Yet. But Yamato, Luffy, and recently confirmed in chapter 1010, Zoro. Now this leaves Ace and Sanji. Now Ace is a special case because Ace was confirmed to have Conqueror's Haki, yet I think it was either latent abilities or he had no idea how to control his Conqueror's Haki. But I believe it was confirmed that he did have it. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. Now that just leaves Sanji. And I find it a bit odd for Oda to have a cover full of Conqueror Haki users, yet have one member not have it. Now, he could have just done it in order to include all of the monster trio, or it's just more evidence pointing to Sanji having Conqueror's Haki. But like I said, this is semantics. It could simply just be Oda trying to include the monster trio within Volume 100. So this takes me to my number 2 piece of evidence for Sanji having Conqueror's Haki. Sanji is a part of a royal bloodline. And not only that, he's a prince of the kingdom of Germa. Now, royal bloodlines within One Piece are very synonymous, but one that we recently got that kind of confirms that royal lineage does equate to Conqueror's Haki was Yamato and Kaido. You see, when recently in, I believe, chapter 1024, if I'm wrong, I apologize, Yamato was actually seen to have Conqueror's Haki at a very young age. Now, people may be thinking, oh, well, this has to be because she read the journal. I don't believe it's that. I believe it's simply royal lineage coming from a very strong line of conquerors. And to double down on the royal lineage factor, I kind of want to read a statement from Reddit user ChoiceTill5524. And it states this, and I'm obviously paraphrasing. If you look at it this way, Germa is a nation of failed conquerors in the North Blue. Judge went through extensive measures in order to reclaim glory by modifying his children. Despite Sanji being considered a failure in Judge's eyes, imagine if Sanji were to reach the very pinnacle of becoming a conqueror, having Conqueror's Haki. And just think about the writing and the levels to it. It's like, the fact of the matter is, Sanji's passion and his emotions being the very thing that exceeds any kind of expectations that Judge had set for him as a child. That will be such great writing, because in essence, this is a big slap in the face to Judge. You know, Sanji isn't a failure. He's the opposite. He's what Germa needs to be. And then it comes to my third piece of evidence. Now, check this out. Now, this one is interesting. You see, going back to chapter 561, Mihawk says this, and he's saying this in reference to Luffy. That is no skill of technique, but the simple ability to turn those around him into his allies. Now, like I said before, this is in reference to Luffy, but what Mihawk just said also equates to Sanji. And to be honest, the things that were kind of going on within Marineford during chapter 561, I think that was the first time we actually were able to see Luffy use Conqueror's Haki. You see, Sanji has an innate ability to soften the hearts of his foes, as well as people around him, in order for them to kind of be on Sanji's side. We've seen this with Kinemon, we've seen this with Viola, we've seen this with Pudding, and actually we've also seen this with the very family that Sanji hates, Germa. You see, Sanji is very much a character who is very capable of having you root for him, changing the mind of former foes, and having them be on his team. Now, my next point is a little bit of a reach, but hear me out. You see, what if the wings of the Straw Hat are both what equate to what Luffy is right now? You have the kingly ambition of Zoro, and the ability to have those around him, you know, turn into allies within Sanji. Those are both qualities that are the embodiment of Luffy. And like I said, that may be a stretch, but you know, it's not that much of a stretch. You know, it's within the realms. And also Shanks. Shanks has been stated that one of his most, you know, daring attributes is the ability to have those around him fight for him, or the ability to have those around him become his allies. That will make Shanks and his crew such a powerful force in One Piece. And I have a couple more points and evidence that I was kind of able to get along the way. But to keep these kind of short and simple, let's get to my last point. My last point has to do with Sanji's new power-up in chapter 1034. You see, in 1034, we see Sanji being able to engulf his legs in white flames, as well as lightning. Now, this is interesting because throughout this raid, Conqueror's Haki has been depicted as black lightning, from Zoro's blades to the clashes between Luffy and Kaido and Yamato, respectively. But Sanji's lightning is a bit different, and it has a different color. And there's been a lot of explanations as to why Sanji may have lightning, whether it be, you know, his feet are so hot that it may, you know, have this kind of after effect with lightning, or he may have the after effects of Niji for some reason. But if we're going to be honest, I find it very odd that in a raid that has really utilized lightning to signify something of great power, why equate that with Sanji right now? And like I said, it isn't black lightning, of course, but it's very much interesting to see. But the major point is, lightning does raise the question on whether or not Sanji may have Conqueror's Haki. But that's all the evidence that I have in favor of Sanji, and then I have a couple more things, but let's go into why Sanji may not have Conqueror's Haki. Now, for my first piece of evidence on him not having Conqueror's Haki, Oda is a big believer in providing uniqueness to each and every character and their abilities. And the Monster Trio is the embodiment of this. Luffy is literally a stretchy man. Like, come on. Zoro is a master of the the 3-sword style. And Sanji is a bit different. You see, he only uses his legs exclusively. And sometimes he uses knives. Can we go back to knife-wielding Sanji? That shit was fire. Go back to Water 7, but that shit was fire. Now, this point doesn't necessarily matter at the end of the day, but within Oda's writing, he always equates to a lot of uniqueness within each and every character that he presents in the story. And he really doesn't seem to streamline people's power-ups to kind of be the same. So in this case, having not only Zoro, but also Sanji to have Conqueror's Haki, it doesn't necessarily seem too unique for both of them to wield that ability at the same time. But that's my first piece of evidence. Let's move on to the next one.
A few moments later.
Well, that's really all I got. You see, when it comes to Conqueror's Haki, nothing is really concrete on the specifications of what you need in order to receive it. For example, Whitebeard simply just wanted to have a family. That doesn't necessarily seem like a huge big dream to truly have. And Yamato seems to have it when she was a little child, not really equating to any like master plan or big dream that she wanted. And there's a handful more of examples of, you know, odd cases of people receiving Conqueror's Haki that don't necessarily align with this qualities of a king kind of mantra. But in retrospect, do I believe that Sanji will get Conqueror's Haki? Hell to the yeah, that shit would be fucking dope. Like, imagine Sanji with Conqueror's Haki, my guy. Like, imagine that. I'm sorry, but if we're going to be serious, I do give Sanji having Conqueror's Haki a 50-50 chance. Honestly, depending on how Oda wants to go about it. You see, the thing is, Oda has been able to construct a story around Sanji that could go either way. He could give him the latent amount of Linearian DNA, or he could literally just stay where he is now and just give him the augmented abilities that he was able to receive from Germa. But if Oda were to explore, you know, the realm of Sanji receiving Conqueror's Haki, it wouldn't diminish his storyline, or it wouldn't not make sense, simply for the other users within One Piece have gotten it other kinds of ways respectfully. Oda has set up little strategic pieces throughout all of Sanji's storylines, and this would just link to all of it at the end. And even if Sanji doesn't, it still maintains a great storyline. Now, for those saying that there's no way that Sanji could receive Conqueror's Haki, I don't really see where you would get that argument from. Throughout Oda's story, he's never really set a guideline for what it means to be a conqueror, or what it means to have qualities of a king. Really, all we've gotten is you have to have this disposition that's above the rest. And in essence, Sanji has the qualities of a conqueror. Yeah. I mean, maybe his dream doesn't align with Luffy's or Zoro's, but at the end of the day, it's really up to Sanji and how he perceives his dream, or how passionate he is about his dream, on whether or not he'll actually receive Conqueror's Haki or not. And to be honest, the only thing stopping Sanji from getting Conqueror's Haki is Oda. If Oda doesn't want to do that shit, he ain't gonna do that shit. So, but with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think that there's more evidence in favor of Sanji having Conqueror's Haki? Do you think that Sanji will get Conqueror's Haki? Do you think that he won't get Conqueror's Haki and it doesn't make any sense? Which I don't get, but you know, there's that. And once again, I want to go ahead and shout out my two GOATs, Prism from our Discord, as well as Resonance on Twitter, at Mom0Usagi. Both of those guys have helped me tremendously in order to construct this video, and I really want to give them a special shout out on this video. But with that being said, my name is Benji. I hope you liked the video. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.